I came back from vacation for one reason and one reason only. If there's one thing, Dave, to pull me away from rocket launch pads and that on the Space Coast in Florida, it's to sit down and talk with my friend Dave Siemens, Standard Speaker Sports Editor. Glad to be back, Dave. I heard you and John had a nice discussion last week. This week, let's jump right into it. You had a very interesting article when I came back, Dave. I was reading about you being in Williamsport as the Hazleton Challenger Little League gets ready to participate in the big exhibition game there during the Little League World Series. Challenger Little League for kids with developmental or intellectual disabilities. It's a great program. Look it up. But you were there because there were some kids from the Hazleton Little League and some officials for the draw, I guess. And the kids and adults seemed very excited just to go down for this.
Oh, the smiles made my day, really, when you see, Lexi Memorian and David Droshak get to go out there and help, former big leaguers and Williamsport officials in Williamsport make the draw for the Little League World Series, and knowing that they're going to be there later in the year too, it's a whole level of excitement that I haven't experienced that much, doing my job, and it makes what you do worthwhile because you see the smile on their faces, and everybody else, they put a smile on everybody else's face that were in attendance, and I'm really looking forward to that coming up in August.
Dave, I think it's nice too when you look at some of the people like Ed Shopey who runs the Hazleton Area Little League, Jim Burns with District 18. We don't always get to talk about the behind the scenes of what goes on just to get games on during Little League season and all the work that they truly put in. This is a nice moment for them to show some of the work that they did. I know they're liking it because it's good for the kids, but they do a lot to get them not only there in Williamsport, but just to put on the games every day.
Yeah, you look at the work that, and it's volunteers. Really, it's a volunteer effort, not only in Hazleton, but Valley West, Valley East, Freeland, West Hazleton, you name the community in the area, they have a Little League program, and there are a team of volunteers and somebody like Ed who's been, you go back to the Challenger Division, pushing for the last 9-10 years trying to get that division represented in Williamsport too, and it's a feather in his cap, but not only him, but there's a lot of people, like you said, behind the scenes. Jim Burns, one of the unsung heroes in the area, in my opinion, because the work he does, putting on first-class tournaments in 3 different age groups, it takes a lot of work and some headaches sometimes too, but Jim always comes in with a smile on his face, and he's very knowledgeable. He's been around the game for a long time, and I really enjoy working with him. He's a sight for the summer. When we're down with our sports season, when it's a downtime, in comes Little League, and Jim Burns coming in with the Little League brackets that puts a smile back on our face, recharge our battery, so to speak, and I look forward to seeing Jim over the next few weeks. That's for sure.
And yes, the District 18 tournament starting this weekend, 10 and 12-year-old All-Star Tournament. We will have coverage here on SSPTV and look for it in the Standard Speaker. So Gino Caro steps down, Hazleton Area High School baseball coach, was there for a decade. That's a long time coaching, had some success, turned out a lot of players. You talked with him, Dave. He's my cousin. When I talked with him too, it was right when Joey Barron got drafted. So he was emotional about that. He really cared about the kids and had a lot of success at the high school.
Yeah, and he started working with a lot of these kids when they were kids, actually, too, starting when they were, 7, 8 years old too. In the case of Joey Barron and a lot of that age group with the Eckley Reds, he gave them a facility to work at, and like he said, he gave them an opportunity to play baseball. He knew that there was a lot of untapped baseball in this area, and I grew up with Gino. I played a lot of baseball with him, against him. We played on an all-star team together back in Babe Ruth back in the day, and Gino was always an enthusiast for baseball. A tribute to his late father, Carl. They were involved in baseball a long time, the whole family. And to see Gino put his heart, mind, and soul into baseball in the Hazleton area program over the last 10 years, he's definitely going to be missed. He had a great staff around him too, and Brian Rabaski and Tony Vigna have been with them from the beginning too, and they're very knowledgeable with baseball. They imparted a lot of that knowledge, and like you said, they developed a lot of kids, a lot of players, and a lot of quality teams, and looking forward to the next coach, but they're going to be big shoes to fill, that's for sure.
Dave, I want to close with the World Cup. You mentioned there's a little Penn State connection to soccer, at least, for you too, as we get to World Cup time.
Yeah, we had an unfortunate situation this week. I found out that Walter Barr, the former Penn State coach, was, he passed away at 91. He was a coach, I believe, for 14 years at Penn State. When I first started covering sports for the Collegian at Penn State, he covered soccer, and I really didn't know much about soccer, but Walter Barr was always very accommodating, and shame on me, I didn't know about his history at that time. I just knew of him as the father of the Penn State kickers, Matt and Chris Barr, who both won 2 Super Bowls each. When I learned about Walter Barr, he was part of the 1950 World Cup team. the team that upset England and considered one of the greatest sports upsets in history. They made a movie about it. And again, shame on me for not knowing his history. And the more I read about him and what a gentleman he was and how he shared his knowledge and his competitiveness, not only with his teams, but other people around him, including myself. And definitely, soccer world knows who Walter Barr is, and people in mainstream sports should know who he is as well.
So let's finish up this segment so I could go sit at my computer and work/watch some World Cup matches. Dave, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Make sure you're reading his work and Steve Stallone's in the Standard Speaker.